Couldn't care less if they were bumpy or not. Look at that bump. Ba-bump. What is up, Flockers? That is my fellow Lockers and aspiring Lockers. In today's video, I'm gonna be talking about the reasons why I decided to switch from traditional to Microlocs. So if you'd like to hear those, then stick around. The first reason that I have on my list for going from traditional locks to Microlocs is simply because I wanted a new look. I have done several lock journeys and I feel like they have all been wonderful lock journeys. I feel like they are all unique within themselves and they all bring new things to the table. And I love all types of locks, all different starter methods, all different sizes, colors. I think that locks are beautiful. It's a beautiful hairstyle. It's a beautiful way of life, and I'm just here for it. So with that said, going on this new lock journey, I decided that I wanted a completely different look since I had done traditional locks several times before. And even though my starter method has been different, I typically had the same size lock every time. So I wanted to try something completely different. Did some research online, looked at different lock styles and different things like that, and I came across Microlocs and I thought, man, that looks really cool. I like the size of it. I love that it still locks. It gives a different look to the hairstyle and gives a different feel and a different vibe. It frames the face different. I don't know. It just, everything about it felt different, but also familiar and the same. And so I wanted the familiarity of locks, but I wanted some difference in styleability. I wanted some difference in the way that they just overall appeared and the way that they looked. So that is the first reason on my list for why I went from traditional to Microlocs. The second reason on my list for why I went from traditional locks to Microlocs is because I loved the look that they gave off, especially in the first couple of years as they were maturing, in the sense that at times they can look like loose natural hair. Now I realize that this all depends on the individual, the size of your Microlocs, the length of your hair, texture, all of that can play a different part into it. But for the most part, what I saw across the board is that people within their first couple of years of their Microloc journeys, that there were times that their hair looked like locks and that there were times that their hair looked like loose natural hair. Sometimes doing something as simple as a braid out or a twist out can give the illusion that it is loose natural hair, or even just when it was straight, but when it's, you know, laying flat or whatever, when you can't see each individual lock, it gives this look sometimes of loose natural hair, whether it be an afro type of loose natural hair or a braid out type of wavy pattern. But it just, like I said, kind of going along with number one, they have this different look to them, this different versatility. Traditional locks are very versatile too, but there's a different set of versatility that you get with Microlocs that you don't have with traditional locks, and vice versa. So I was ready to try something new. I like the fact that you can still get this look of loose natural hair without necessarily all the fuss and work that goes into maintaining loose natural hair on a wash day or a day-to-day basis. My number three reason for why I chose to go ahead and do Microlocs this time is because in all of my previous lock journeys, I have chosen to retwist for my maintenance method. And although I love the way a fresh retwist looks, I am not a fan for my head and my hair just because they do not last on me but for a matter of days. If it is the cold of winter and I literally don't move around much at all, then I might have been able to stretch it out for a week before that stuff started unraveling. But for the most part, my jives were unraveling within days. I have a pretty active lifestyle. I like to get out and exercise and move. And in the spring and summertime, especially where I live, where it is extremely humid, it stands no chance. And I wasn't about using gels and heavy stuff in my locks to hold the locks in place, so I would just do water retwist, which I know some people are probably like, well, duh, there's your problem. Even when I did gel retwist, I still would have them unraveling very quickly on after a retwist. But with the water retwist, it held well as long as I wasn't moving around or sweating, but sweating is just in my nature. So I wanted a maintenance method that I could still maintain my active lifestyle, where I could go swimming whenever I wanted to, where I could wash my hair as frequently as I want to, because as I mentioned, I sweat a lot. And so sweat getting in your locks from your scalp and just whatnot. You don't want to keep those nasty smells in your hair. Therefore, I would wash my hair more often. So when I would retwist, I would just have, it just wasn't maintained. I kept my hair maintained, but it just did not have that fresh retwist maintained look for very long after a fresh retwist. And even though it's a lot quicker than retying your hair, to me, it just wasn't worth it because I would spend an hour, 45 minutes to an hour 15 retwisting my hair just for it to only last for a couple of days. So now that I am retying my hair, it lasts for 5 to 6 weeks when I do my next retie. And in between, I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to worry about sweating. I don't have to worry about rain, water getting on my hair, going swimming, washing my hair frequently. None of that matters because my locks stay as they are. They stay in place. After about 5 to 6 weeks, it's time for a retie and I've got new growth. I think I'm about 2 or 3 weeks from my previous retwist, and they still look good. So I'm enjoying the part of the different maintenance that I've chosen with this set of locks. Granted, you can do reties with traditional locks. I just never did because I was afraid that since they were thicker, you would be able to see the retie pattern really easily and that it would look lumpy. And I was all about uniformity and having cylindrical, perfect locks back then. And I'm in a different stage of life right now where that just does not matter to me. I don't care. I'm loving my lock journey. I'm loving my locks. Couldn't care less if they were bumpy or not. Look at that bump, ba-bump. I got so many locks where there's bumps in them and it does not faze me. It doesn't bother me. I like the individuality. I mean, granted, part of this is swelling and budding, but I do have some locks that just are doing the most, that they refute. Look at that, got a little zigzag pattern on this one. This one said, no, we are not gonna conform to any cylindricalness, to any uniformity, and I'm okay with that. Doesn't bother me. The fourth reason on my list for why I decided to switch from traditional locks to Microlocs is the simple fact that my hair, even though I have the same amount of hair, because the locks are smaller and there's less hair in each lock, my hair is lighter than before when it's dry and when it's wet, and my hair dries faster. Now you're saying, okay, well, how is your hair lighter when it's wet if you still have the same amount of hair? Or when it's, I'm just telling you, I don't know the science behind it, but just in using, not common sense, but just figuring things out, putting A and B together. If you have something that is thicker versus something that's thin, when you add water to this, it's going to pull more and be heavier than something that is thinner, obviously. So, you know, when I wet my hair, if my traditional lock is about 5 or 6 of my, locks, that's really thick at the base, but I don't even know, I haven't counted. But yeah, let's say it's 4 or 5 of my mini locks, Microlocs. This obviously, when it gets wet, is going to be heavier. Even when it's dry, it's heavier because it's more hair that is in this lock, as opposed to this one. Oh, I got my short piece. That's the one that I cut off accidentally when I combined 2 of my locks. But yeah, this is going to be lighter and it's going to dry faster than this. It just is, because there's less hair in it. It allows air to get through quicker. It allows the moisture to evaporate quicker. So it just, like I said, I don't know scientifically the terminology behind it, but I feel like that's a pretty scientific but common sense explanation as to why your hair dries faster and why it feels lighter when you have Microlocs as opposed to traditional locks. Now with my traditional locks, they never felt super heavy. Even when they were down here, when I had them wet, they did feel heavy and I could feel the tension on my neck, but it wasn't to the point where it was uncomfortable or where it hurt or anything like that. But it is a big difference now when my hair gets wet. I barely feel like I have hair on my head at all, except for the fact that I can feel it on my neck because your boy's locks are starting to hang. But yeah, all that aside, I loved all of my traditional lock journeys. I'm loving the Microloc journey right now, and this is just where I am. So that is why I chose to go from traditional locks to Microlocs. If you found this video helpful in any way, make sure to hit that like button so I know what type of, y'all stay not letting me know when I got hair sticking out. Come on now. So I know what type of content you are enjoying, and also hit that subscribe button so that you can join the flock. While you're here, check out some of my other videos that have popped up. I'll see you there.